Something strange has happened to my display. I don't know. I guess now is not the time to adjust it. And I've got 5 concurrent viewers, so I better get to the point. I wonder if somebody can help me with my OBS. But anyway, today I've been busy and talking to various people, and I always think it's so cute when, obviously I know a lot of antisemites, and that they are part of the landscape of the alt-right, and that's what we are. I mean, I don't want to mince my words and pretend that, I'm something more respectable sounding, like the dissident right, or the, I don't know, what do they want to call themselves? And what is the point of calling themselves different names when it's the same old people? And they'll just keep fighting us, so we might as well own it. So yeah, these people I know that don't like Jews, they're always outraged when they say, no, I'm not an anti-Semite, how dare you call me such a thing? And I thought, well, at least have the courage of your convictions and just say you don't like them, and say, well, I don't know, if I were an anti-Semite, I'd say, well, nobody has a right to tell me who to like or dislike, and I'll hate who I damn well please, as long as I don't hurt them or commit crimes against them. That's what I'd say. And then I'd have to say, because I would have the courage of my convictions, I would say that, I don't like them because of A, B, and C, D, E, and F, G, H, and I, and so on and so forth. I wouldn't say, oh, but don't call me that thing. Don't call me that. It's not nice. And then they come up with the usual anti-Semitic tropes, like the way Dr. Mengele talks about the Khazars, and you hear that word and you think, oh no, it's one of those. They think they have a right to tell Jews what they are and who they are, and you already know that nobody cares what social pariahs think. Social and political pariahs who basically will be assumed not to know what they're talking about. So they might as well say, look, I don't like them because A, B, and C, and whatever, and we would at least advance a little bit further in the discussion about these people that you don't like. But no, they always retreat and say, how dare you call me such a thing? Just because I don't acknowledge them to be God's chosen people doesn't mean I don't like Jews. And you think, well, why? Why go out of your way to hurt their feelings? It's as if if you told me your name was Mary and I said, no, it's Mark, actually. Well, that would be really insulting, wouldn't it? I mean, that's why people go on about their pronouns and make such a fuss about them. So identity is a sensitive subject, and if you want to take away somebody's identity, you want to take away somebody's title, then a formal procedure has to be undergone, right? You want to strip somebody of their titles, like the way Andrew has been stripped of his titles because he's suspected of being a naughty boy. Then, some sort of formal legal process has to be undergone before that is done. But you people, you just think you can say, I don't like them, so I don't think they're God's chosen people, and if you want me to like you, you have to agree with me. And that's why Jen made such a point of asking me again and again and again whether I thought Jews were God's chosen people, and innocently I said, well, if that's what they claim to be, who am I? Who are we to tell them otherwise? You know, if I tell you that my name's Claire, I mean, who are you to call me Clarence? It's insulting. And if you're going to change somebody's identity, then you would have to have a status above them, like, you know, the state authority to say, well, you can't call yourself that name anymore. We're going to pass a law to stop you from calling yourself this pronoun that you want to have. And we know how Jordan Peterson came to prominence on just this matter, about pronouns. And he was saying it was silly for people to tell him which pronoun to use for people. And, you know, if he didn't think a man was a man, then he'd call him a woman. I'm sorry, it is getting a bit confused. So it's curious that these people who don't like Jews don't like to be called people who don't like Jews. And this is almost pathological. Because I imagine if you were, you know, convicted of murder, you wouldn't go, oh, don't call me a homicidal maniac. You know, thing. Well, but particularly if you are a, you know, mass murderer or a serial killer. So what is this problem about acknowledging what you are? You don't like them. I mean, you can say, I don't like them for perfectly justifiable reasons, or you can say, I never liked them. I never worked out why I didn't like them. I just don't like them. And I know I don't like them, even though I can't explain to you exactly why. That's okay, because you can be an anti-Semite, you know, without being accused of, you know, being phobic, because if you don't like Muslims, you know, you would be an Islamophobe, and then you have to explain that the reasons why you don't like Muslims are rational, and that's a more awkward kind of argument to have. Or if you're just an anti-Semite, you can say, I just don't like them, I never did, I don't know why, maybe it's baked into my DNA after 2,000 years of Christianity. But people seem a little conflicted on being anti-Semites. Perhaps it is because they have an instinctive deference to what they must already know is the aristocracy of humanity, the chosen people of God. So I don't quite know why. I suppose they know socially it's not the thing to be an anti-Semite. It might affect their job prospects or something. But technically you have the right to hate Jews. You know, you don't have to say, oh, I hate Jews for rational reasons. Unlike Islamophobes, you know, people who don't like Muslims, because then they have to say, well, I'm not being irrational if I don't like them because A, B, and C. That's what they'd have to do. But an anti-Semite is just an anti-Semite, you know. He doesn't have to explain himself. He just has to acknowledge that he doesn't like Jews. And this reminds me of a nursery rhyme. How does it go? I do not like you, Dr. Fell. The reason why I cannot tell. That's all I can remember. But there are people that you take an instinctive dislike to. And you can't really explain unless you want to think more deeply about it. And I like to think deeply about these things so that I can arrive at my brilliant solutions. And I'm so pleased with myself at the way I have discovered the way of doing Dawa for for Jews, or, well, it wouldn't be my dawah. I can't invite Jews to a religion that I do not myself profess, but I can sell it to Muslims who want to invite Jews to Islam. And I think to myself how clever I am to think of all these ways to basically corner Jews and say, look, you're going to have a terrible afterlife because of your 36 capital offences, and you're bound to have clocked up more than one in one Jewish lifetime. So why don't you convert to Islam and and get to a nicer heaven in a less laborious, less restricted way? So this could be put to Jews by dawah doing Muslims, and I have indeed sent my emails to these Muslim contacts of mine. So perhaps they will soon sing with the same hymn sheet and try my questions on those Jews that they want to invite to Islam. Because that will start a global dialogue, I hope. Because that is what I hope, that we all have fun seeing the world change in our lifetimes. And you'll have more fun if you know me. It's like, oh, I knew Claire when she was a YouTuber, only 10 subscribers, and look at her now. I mean, that would be nice for you. And you could help me get big by picking me up and talking about my ideas and using my ideas. If you're a dawah doing Muslim and you see a Jew, you can use my 7 killer questions inviting Jews to Islam. I've spoken to a Christian too, and I really don't know. They're hard to deal with because you think that they're barely sane, and you don't want to upset them too much, especially if they're old friends and things, and but they believe in nonsense, and they just tell you this cock and bull story about Jesus being God, and you can see this in Revelations and Daniel and Genesis, and they don't even say the same thing. Like each different Christian who claims to believe that Jesus is God, well, they all have a different way of arriving at that conclusion. So I don't think it's profitable to deal with them in a verse by verse way, because basically it's nonsense. If they're going to quote the New Testament, it's going to be nonsense, because the New Testament cannot have more authority than the Quran or the Torah. So there's no point even looking at it. And there's nothing in the New Testament about the Trinity. So they can't prove it. But maybe we shouldn't really deal with the Christians at this stage. What we need to do is get the Jews and the Muslims to agree to jointly tackle the Christians. Once they've agreed to jointly tackle the Christians. Because that's the only way for the penny to drop with Christians, because otherwise there's no point me talking to them like, do you know they've been guilty of 2,000 years of idolatry and blasphemy, and they don't get it. Or it doesn't compute, I don't know, it's impossible to get through to them, unfortunately. So I think the best way to do it would be to get the Jews and Muslims to be friendlier towards each other, and then jointly ask the Pope and the Archbishop of Canterbury how and why Christianity is not idolatry and blasphemy. And when they say it's not idolatry and blasphemy if Jesus is God, then they have to ask why Jesus is God. And you can catch them out, I think, because you can say, no, you can't confer, Archbishop of Canterbury and Pope, you can't confer, so you can, agree on a story. You have to, go and sit your exams separately and see what you come up with. And that's what we have to do. And then it'll come up with different stories, different kinds of nonsense. And then finally, I hope, people in the West will accept that they don't have a functioning moral system, and that's why everything is collapsing, and they had better replace it. It's like saying, look, your boiler's broken, your washing machine's broken, your car's, just not gonna ever start its engine again. That kind of thing. And then finally the post-Christian Westerner will accept that his religion has failed, his moral system has failed, and it won't be enough for just Jews to point it out or Muslims to point it out. They've got to do it together. They've got to do it. So that's what I'm trying to do. But what I wanted to know is why you deny it. You always deny it for some reason. And I suppose it's somehow you sort of know, but I'm Christian and I'm supposed to be worshipping a Jew, so it probably isn't a good idea to be rude about Jews. Maybe some at some subconscious level you think, well, if you worship a Jew, then you shouldn't be mean about Jews, because but for Jews existing, but for Judaism, there wouldn't be the person for you to worship. So, I didn't make up Christianity. I mean, I know it doesn't make sense, but why would anti-Semites subscribe to a religion about worshipping a Jew? It just doesn't make sense. But the most interesting person to watch on this subject would be Adam Green, because I know he's in the process of developing some ideology, because it's like he really doesn't like Jews, he's rejected Christianity. I don't think he's gonna adopt secular Quranism, because he keeps they'll do that to me. They won't mention my name. They don't like me. So I don't anticipate Adam Green being a secular Quranist anytime soon. But I think it's a good sign that these anti-Semites sort of say, don't call me an anti-Semite. That's I'm not really one or something. Even though they are, I mean, they're in denial. They lack self-awareness when they claim not to be anti-Semites, particularly when they've actually been in trouble over being mean about Jews. It is a pathology, I think, and I mean, this is just something I've noticed about white people. I mean, they do get triggered. I mean, no other race is like that. I mean, as far as I know, no other race has, a group that they just get triggered about. I don't think. Well, I'm trying to think of all these different races who are supposed to get triggered about, particular groups of people, and it's just a peculiarity of white people. And Shakespeare, when I was doing Shakespeare when I was a schoolgirl, and there was this talk about the nature and nurture debate. So I guess what was meant was, can you separate a person's genetic inheritance from his environment? And you won't be able to do it because it will be difficult to attribute, why white people hate Jews. You can say, oh, it's because of their religion, and then quite a few of them will say, well, I don't even know the Bible, and I just never, I didn't even know Jews. I don't know. A lot of people arrive at their hatred of Jews separately, not through the Bible. So, and I remember a rabbi saying, well, they were hardly reasoned into hating Jews, so we don't think they can be reasoned out of it, and we must accept our fate, that's our lot as God's chosen people, that we have to suffer this. This is part of our identity, that the Gentiles would hate us. But that would only be the Orthodox Jews, because that they know their own history, they know of all these exterminatory attempts by Gentiles on them throughout, 2 millennia. So they're philosophical about it. But it's the liberal assimilated Jews who want to use anti-discrimination legislation I think that's a liberal thing, to use liberal laws to lower the status of others and raise your own status. And I think this should stop, because it's actually making things very awkward and very tense. And I'm afraid that the only way out of it is to use the Quran, because only the Quran has chapter 2, verse 256 that guarantees freedom of belief, because it says, there is no compulsion in belief, truth stands clear from error, and therefore you can use it to repeal the Equality Act 2010 and affirmative action legislation in America, anything that smacks of thought crime. You can use chapter 2 verse 256 and say it's un-Quranic, un-Islamic, so it's got to go. I mean, that's the only way you can kick out your totalitarian feminist legislation. The answer is, I thought I muted my thing. Keeps going ping. Well, I did. And it's annoying. So, that is what must be done. And I expect more people to help me now, because, you see, my plans are, cohering, it's coalescing into something more concrete. And I think with a little bit of luck and a little bit of help, with people doing the right thing for their own good, for the good of their countrymen, for the good of posterity, people could help themselves. Yes, it involves a bit of a risk, but it can be looked at as something that that would, well, spice up your life. I mean, why do gamblers gamble? I mean, there's a bit of excitement, a bit of a flutter. And what I'm proposing is nothing particularly dangerous. It's all about certain people doing the right thing. You know who you are. Doing the right thing is, well, I recommend it. I am the beneficiary of doing the right thing. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I mean, lots of things I should be doing. I mean, that I haven't done as well as I could have done, or haven't done at all. But I think people should examine their consciences and ask themselves, what exactly do they think they are? Who do they think they are? What do they think they are for? What are they ideally placed to do? What have they been chosen to do? And when you are chosen to do something, don't you feel special the way the Jews feel special? Like, ooh, we were chosen. Wow, that makes us so important and so special. And I'm saying Gentiles can be chosen. Yes, us. Little old us. Little old me. We just find ourselves in a particular situation and we think, oh, we can do a whole bunch of things if we chose to do it, and things might turn out for the better. We don't know, but, it'll be fun to find out, right? I really do appreciate you, Dr. Mengele. I would miss all the people who, all my haters. I'd feel a little desolate if they didn't, if they suddenly stopped turning up, saying the same old thing. With their particular obsessions. Mind you, I've been told I'm a bit obsessive myself, and I humbly submit to this assessment of my behaviour. I think I need to be a bit of a headbanger to do what I do. I do need to be a bit of a headbanger, I admit that. Seamus Crawford, I don't know what you mean about the Jews believing in separation between rabbinical and priestly. Oh, well, it's Temple Judaism and rabbinical Judaism. They can't have their Temple Judaism because, well, they don't have their temple, and I don't think they're meant to have their temple because basically they don't want their Torah theocracy with its 36 capital offences. And you know what I found talking to my Jewish Facebook contacts is that they get really upset. It's like, but they, with my 7 questions, and they don't have an answer, because it's like, yeah, I've got them. They're not even supposed to be anywhere in Christendom because of the capital offence of Ernidakat, which means being a citizen of a city that has gone astray. Which means a city that practices idolatry, and that's Christendom. All Western nations are part of Christendom. I have a few rabbinical contacts, and all I've got is just one arguing with me and kind of horrified silence by the others. One saying, "Unsubscribe me, please, from this intrusive and superficial drivel." But no answer to this, to the issue of them being nidachat. And I've asked I've asked one rabbi to address this question. Well, I've asked Rabbi Miswaki, and for good measure, I put the question to one of his followers. Well, one of the people who go to his lectures. So, and he doesn't know the answer, so he's going to ask him, right? I'm definitely going to ask him because, it is a matter of well, not life and death, but afterlife and after death. Because the scenario that I've put to them is that if you don't get punished in the way that the Torah says you have to be punished during your lifetime, then, it just waits for you when you get to the other side, when you meet your Maker, and then your Maker will say, well, you're a citizen of France, it's Christendom, isn't it? Is it Christendom? Well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe the Frenchies will get away with it because technically France is not a Christian country. But Italy, I think they're going to get it in the neck if you're a Jew in Italy, and if you're a Jew in Britain, because Britain is officially Christian because, it's the home of the Anglican Church. So any country with an established church with Jews will be nidachat. So quite a few of them will fall under this category, and if they believe the whole thing, then they ought to be concerned. Imagine thinking, oh, I spent the whole of my life being an observant Jew, and I tried to do my best, and it's like, but you have clocked up at least one death penalty, death by beheading, for being nidachat. If you're a Jewish citizen of any Christian country. No. So, and the response is like, we never heard of such a thing, how dare you, and it's like, well, it says so in the Torah, there's a Wikipedia list of all these capital crimes, and it says all those things. I didn't, make it up, and when they haven't, they basically, it's not part of their curriculum, it's not part of their rabbinical curriculum, so they don't know how to deal with it. The Noahide laws are not part of their rabbinical curriculum, I discovered. They basically say, well, it's a specialised thing, it's an option in the, but it's not part of the compulsory part of the syllabus. So I'm afraid for all these centuries, they've just basically forgotten about, the main principles of their religion, and I know they're not happy with me pointing these things out. But at least they're not accusing me of being anti-Semitic, because I don't hate them. I just want them to do this thing for me, and I think they might do it if they weren't so scared of you, if you weren't so mean about them, and and I think there might be hope for some movement if a certain person would just do the thing I hope for. But I don't know. Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. But I like to think that things are coming to a head, and I'd just like to share that with you. Hello, Angel in the Docks. I don't know you. Thank you for your encouraging words. $10 years. No. You see, it's actually a sign of success. You know, it's like I talk to no, I don't talk. I sort of talk to these nationalists, and they know about my idea, and they kind of scuttle away. You know, it's sort of like you probably don't get it that much, but in the tropics, you know, when you go to your kitchen after it's dark, after you've turned off the lights, and then you want to go back and have some snack or something, and then you turn on the light, and you hear scuttling. It's like the cockroaches would just scuttle back under the fridge when you go back into the kitchen and turn on the light. And I feel like people are running away from me, you know, in that way. They're not really responding to... Okay, they do respond, but in a very tardy way, and with a lack of a sense of urgency about things. But I have to be patient. I know I can't annoy them too much. I can't be too insistent, because I spoil it for them. I know it's hard. It's hard, you know, when you really want something and you have to restrain yourself and not ask for it. It's very difficult. Maybe I shouldn't even talk about it to you people. How much I hope a certain person is going to do what I hope. Dr. Mengele says really unkind things about secular Quranism. It's like, well, what else am I going to do? And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not stillborn, it's gestating. It's still gestating. I'm still patting my tummy, and it's still kicking. What's the point of life if we can't even be mean to the Jews? Well, you don't have to be mean to anybody. Why do you have to be mean to anyone? I don't want to be mean to people. I want to be nice to them. And I think Jews are probably a metaphor for all the people that you envy. And I think that's it. And, you'll always hate them because you think, why should you be the chosen? Well, how come you were chosen? You're not good enough. But you wouldn't want to live their lives being hated, having to follow stricter rules, and having people to say, oh, you've broken the Sabbath, oh, you're eating shellfish, you're not supposed to eat pork, it'd just be so annoying. People sort of knowing your business, knowing what the hell you're supposed to be doing, and you're breaking all the rules and otherizing you. I don't envy them. So if they want to do their thing. It's like, okay, you do your thing, and anyway, what they're supposed to be doing, they haven't yet done, and I'm helping them. I'm telling them that a way of avoiding God's wrath is to do what I ask them, which is to rank the 4 Gentile religions according to their conformity with the Noahide laws, because doing it in that way would get the largest number of Gentiles. Because, they're saying, oh, but the Torah doesn't tell us to do that. And I say, no, it doesn't, but it's just common sense, right? If you want to teach the Noahide laws as well as possible, as quickly as possible, to as large a number of Gentiles as possible, you have to rank the 4 Gentile religions. That's what you have to do. And then it'll take an interest. The Gentiles will say, ooh, I wonder how my religion is going to rank in this rabbinical ranking system. And then they'll take an interest, and a few people will be upset, the Christians, but don't worry about the Christians. It's like they need to give it up. They need to give up their idolatry and blasphemy, because it's bad for them. It makes them think they have a religion when in fact they don't, and and it's so bad that Christianity replaced liberalism replaced Christianity, and now liberalism itself is kaput. So it's time that Westerners cleared up the mess in their head. So, their neurosis could be likened to the Gordian knot. And I will be the one to cut it.